Hey guys, welcome back to Words from Reagan. I just want to say thank you for all the love and support to last week's episode and the launch of the podcast. Definitely does not go blinded, and it means the world to me. So, today's episode, we are going to be talking about standards. This is kind of like the next step and initial step after taking your quote-unquote self-love journey. Like a book of rules to always go back on for anything and everything. You want standards for everything, and I think when we hear the word standards, we think of relationships, but it can also be for friendships, yourself, and jobs. In life, when it comes to being treated fairly and receiving the energy we give, we must come back to our standards. It's what we look for in relationships, romantic, work, or friends. And as we're going to talk about today, you'll see that there's a difference between basic and well thought out standards. Everybody always says, have high standards and you won't end up in situationships or toxic relationships or toxic work environments. Yes, have high standards, but they must be realistic and thought through. So I did a little bit of Googling and research of the most typical standards when it comes to relationships, and I found some basic ones like somebody who gives you compliments without being asked, a person who respects your boundaries, a person who is trustworthy and loyal. And I also found some corny ones as well, like a person who remembers your birthday or at least keeps it listed where they can be reminded. And yes, these standards may be wanted in a relationship, but they're not top priority and are the most basic that can be. Like, would you on a second date ask your partner, so what's my birthday, and do like a little pop quiz? Or rather than on the second date, keep everything in open, try and get a read on that person. Does he compliment you? Is he trustworthy? Does he ask you further questions about yourself? I think those are the more realistic types of standards that should be at the top of your list, rather than somebody knowing your birthday by the second date. However, standards come from past hurt and experiences, as well as knowing what you deserve. If you are in a toxic relationship, you may have not realized that you deserve more in that moment, but once the relationship ended, you look back and thought to yourself, why did I stay with that person? I was manipulated. I was always second best. I was never really chosen. So you take this and you know you deserve better, so you add it to your standards. Instead of feeling manipulated, you want somebody who will treat you well with the world and make you feel wanted. Instead of being second best, you deserve to always be put first and cared for. Think of it as price and value. The price they choose to pay for how they treat you and what they give you will determine the overall value. Them entering into your life, a further relationship, or anything before things get one-sided, toxic, or healthy, by choosing how they treat you with your standards. The price is them choosing to welcome themselves in your lives. Well, ask yourself, do they treat you well? Do they seem trustworthy and loyal? Have they ever lied or turned their back on you? If all seems good and they suit your standards, then the overall value may be good. You may want to further getting to know them and give them more than what you were before, given that you have reassurance. You'd say, I need somebody who shows they care for me, wants to get to know me, won't only text me at 2 a.m., makes it clear they want me. And if they do these things, they have you sold. They have paid the price in your life, and they've put a little weight on you to make you want to get to know them and showing you care for them. And to some extent, I totally agree with the basic standards, but what about the more in-depth, well-thought-out standards that can be implemented based on your past? This is where the price standards play, but eventually make us realize the whole end goal, which is the value. It is the value standards that make us understand our value fully. Price shows the start, it shows the green flags, the red flags, it shows the good in them. But they are also the most basic and simple standards, such as respect, caring, loving, compassionate, loyal. And again, these are good things. These are things that everybody wants to have in a relationship and should. But somebody can put on an act. Somebody can plan around this, making it seem like they are loyal when they're really cheating. Somebody can make it seem they really want you for you, but end up using you. So it's taking the price, which is them welcoming into your life, the beginning stages of a relationship, the beginning stages of a friendship or work environment. And it's taking those and trying to see the overall value of them. Do they constantly make an effort? Do they constantly pull throughout the month you've been talking, the 2 months that you guys have been dating? Do they make it an effort to continue those standards and make it the overall value? Basic standards are the price. It acknowledges your worth. It acknowledges the beginning stages as well. Somebody who you're attracted to, somebody who compliments you, somebody who goes to the gym, somebody who has a good life bill. These are basic standards. And yes, these standards are necessary in a relationship, and especially to be compatible and bring out the best in each other. But beyond that, we need to grow our standards by asking ourselves why. It is not about who's interested in you, but rather who is consistent with you. Not somebody who makes promises but keeps promises. Not someone who says they will be there for you, but is somebody that actually shows that you matter, will answer you at any point of the night to listen. It's not about who wants you, but who deserves you. So again, somebody can make promises, somebody can say something on how they are, but do they actually act like it, and is it consistent? Just because they do it one time, are they fully betraying you and constantly turning their back, although they said they were good? Think about those standards in terms of price versus value, basic versus well thought. Somebody who is interested in you is a basic standard, whereas somebody who is consistent is well thought through. Also, think long-term rather than short-term. Do they prove themselves to you over and over again, or was it just like a one-time thing and they only act upon it shortly? Somebody can want you, but they may not deserve you. So draw a line between want and deserve. Basic versus well-thought, price versus value. Somebody might really, really want you, but they haven't stepped into those standards to deserve your value. Just because somebody says they're willing to do a relationship and they're ready for a relationship doesn't mean they actually deserve your effort and energy because they're not matching yours. I'm sure there have been many times where you've wanted something or someone, so you started acting upon it with basic standards, but when it comes to taking action and continuing it, maybe you flaked, you weren't ready, maybe you didn't show up to the job interview, canceled on the date. Maybe you were not mentally or emotionally ready and you're still getting over your ex. You don't know if you're ready to move jobs or move cities. This goes to show basic standards are simple and can be done by anyone, but continuing through is the well thought through standards that show someone really deserves something. So you can pull an initial act, an initial reason, but to continue through are those well thought standards, and shows that if they flake, then they weren't really on that well-thought value standards and rather stuck up on the price and basic standards. Don't settle for basic standards. Grow to well-thought standards. You deserve somebody who makes promises and keeps them. Somebody who shows they deserve you. Having high standards does not make you hard to love. It does not make you picky or needy or unlovable. It shows your worth and what you deserve, and the right one will give that to you. Having high standards also shows your growth on your self-love journey and should be rooted at all times, something you can go back and look upon. And by sticking with your standards and not ever settling for less, it's going to make you grow the love you have for yourself and come to the realization that you come first always. And you may be wondering, well, how do I find these people? Unfortunately, this is part of the process and journey of life, but don't let it doubt that you won't find your people or place, but use it as a motive and drive to want to keep going. So a little exercise for you to build your standards. Take a piece of paper and write down what you think you deserve in a guy or girl, maybe extended to friends or jobs. Now think about how you've been treated in the past with those types of people or situations. Was they good or bad? Did you feel wanted or did you feel used? Standards are built on emotions and experiences. So if your relationship isn't healthy or wasn't healthy, or you weren't treated the best, you're going to have a negative swing of emotions towards that. And that makes you want someone who is willing to make the relationship healthy. Think long-term versus short-term. Think price versus value. Experiences help grow well-thought standards, and by going back in your past gives you reason to show the process. So list a couple standards from your past to go forward in life. Remember to always keep your standards at the center of anything, a job, a relationship, whether that's the starting phases or months after you've been committed to someone or something. Never let somebody ever say they want you without feeling like they actually deserve you. If you aren't feeling wanted in a relationship and they're continuing to say they want you and they're trying, but you just don't see it, then they're not living up to those standards, and therefore you should leave. As hard as it might be, you're betraying yourself in that point because you're not having the other person live up to your standards, and you have to ask yourself, okay, well, do they really care for me, or are they just putting on a front? Are they still on those basic standards, or are they really going into my well-thought-through standards? And remember, this does not set you back in life. It helps you grow as a person and learn. Once you build these well-thought-through standards, you will have the quote-unquote rule book for your self-love, knowing what you deserve and always keeping that centered. So a little shorter episode for you guys today, that I think standards are one of the most important things anyone can ever create and implement. And standards come from everything. I know we talked a little bit more about relationships than anything today, but these come for yourself, these come for your friendships, these come for jobs. And although relationships should have the highest standards, don't let the other aspects of jobs go blindsided when it comes to it. For your job, you deserve to feel wanted. You deserve to have a say in the company as well. And the overall message of standards in general when it comes to a person or a relationship or any situation is you deserve to feel valued instead of somebody saying that they deserve you without showing you the work. In order for you to feel deserved, you deserve somebody to show you that by different actions, doing different things. Maybe that's a raise for a job. Maybe that's surprising you with flowers from a boyfriend or girlfriend. And maybe that's somebody being there for you when you're at the lowest of lows and they have plans. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys were able to upgrade those basic standards to well thought through standards. And maybe you realize, well, I haven't really thought about those well thought through standards. Maybe I'm not giving them to somebody, and kind of go through in all your relationships and ask yourself, am I giving these? Am I receiving these? Remember who you are as an individual and what you deserve. And when anyone tries to lessen your standards, walk away from them, because the right people will only live up to your standards. Share this with somebody you know who might need to hear this, and I will see you guys next Thursday with another one. Bye, guys.